Yeah, so your vaginal microbiome is something you probably don't think about until something happens, which is probably the same for any of our microbiomes. There's many throughout our bodies. There's microbiomes in our mouth, our gut, and our vagina. Other parts of your body as well, I'm sure, but those are the ones that I'm most familiar with. And they're really, really critical. So if we know like the gut microbiome is really important for all kinds of things, from like digesting your food to your mood. It has a really big impact on us beyond that. The gut also is important. The gut microbiome in particular is important for hormone metabolism. So there's this thing called the estrobolome, which is where like the bacteria or the lactobacilli that specifically break down estrogen. So if your gut microbiome is off, it's going to throw your hormones off as well.
Okay, let's talk about something that doesn't get talked about enough: the aftermath of good sex. Because let's be honest, the last thing you want to do is be fully in the moment, worried about who's cleaning up the mess afterwards. No more changing the sheets late at night because that gets old, right? And that's why I found Splash Blanket, the most luxurious waterproof blanket that lets you completely let go in the bedroom without having to worry about the cleanup after. It's 100% waterproof and is literally the most soft thing ever. I love how this feels on my skin, and it holds up to a liter of liquid. It was created by an Aussie woman who literally got sick of the midnight sheet change killing the vibe. So she designed something that supported pleasure. Whether it's partnered sex, solo sex, period sex, or you just want to feel more relaxed in your body, it removes the mental block. This is called a psychological sex toy because when your brain is able to feel safe to make a mess, your body can enjoy more pleasure. So, yeah, if you've ever held back because you didn't want to deal with the aftermath of good sex, this is your permission slip. Get yourself a splash blanket and you'll thank me later. Use code Jordan15 to save 15% on your splash blanket. I have the leopard one at home and I absolutely love it.
See show notes for important safety information.
Let's talk about a birth control option that I found and absolutely love: Fex. Yeah, you heard that right. A birth control that I like. If you have been around here a while, you know that I really support women finding what is right for them and listening to their own bodies. And there are options for literally every single woman when it comes to birth control. If you're someone like myself who's looking for a non hormonal birth control option, Fex may be right for you, and I'd recommend taking a look at it. Fex is a on-demand birth control option. You just use it within an hour before intercourse. I like to say Fex before you sex, and it's immediately effective. You don't have to include it in your daily routine at all, which is really nice and makes it very convenient. It does not contain hormones. It is FDA approved and available by prescription. It is covered by most commercial insurances as well as state Medicaid programs. Also, how could I not forget the lubricating properties of Fex, which adds for a little bonus. What's unique about the way that Fex works is that it maintains the vaginal pH, which creates for an unfriendly environment for sperm, and it keeps the vagina very acidic. So if you're curious about a non-hormonal birth control option, you can go to fex.com, PHEXX.com to learn more. And you can also get a telehealth prescription right there. For more information and to learn more, go to fex.com. Fex is available in the United States by prescription only. This is your favorite podcast host with a little reminder for you. If you are sexually active, STI testing should be a part of your self-care. We normalize orgasms and taking accountability over here, just like charging your vibrator and washing your sheets. STI testing should be a part of your routine. That's why I found ProDX Health. It is my favorite at-home STI testing company that is literally so easy to use and very convenient and in the privacy of my own home. Confidence in the bedroom starts with your sexual health. Use code JordanDanelle for 25% off your test kits at prodxhealth.com. Welcome to Vaginas, Vulvas, and Vibrators with Jordan Danelle. This is a safe place to learn about women's health and sexual wellness. I'm your host, Jordan Danelle, physician assistant, women's sexual health educator, and intimacy coach. This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. It is not intended as medical advice. Please seek your medical professional's direction and guidance. The views and opinions on this podcast reflect my own and my guests and are no representation of any institution or organization that I work for. Welcome back to the Vaginas, Vulvas, and Vibrators podcast. Today I have Vienna with me, and I'm so excited. Miss the Cuntsultant on Instagram.
You got to hit that CUNT harder.
Oh, give it to us.
The Cuntsultant.
There we go.
Thank you.
There we go. And I'm excited to chat with you about all kinds of things. We literally could rabbit hole into 1,000,001 conversations. But today we're going to talk about vaginal microbiomes.
Let's do it.
So tell me a little bit about what you do and how you kind of got into this work.
Yes. So like I said, I am the Cuntsultant. I am a vagina consultant. I'm a vagina professional. I'm a vagina consultant. A lot of that also means I'm a hormone person. I do a lot with hormones. I do a lot with the menstrual cycle. But I like to think of myself as a person you go to when you're like, something is up. Google is not helping. ChatGPT also not helping. I need to talk to a person, but what person? I'm that person. And so we talk a lot about what's happening down there, what's happening with your vagina, what's happening with your menstrual cycles, your uterus, your ovaries, etc. But yeah, sometimes we talk specifically about the vaginal microbiome as well. So I'm a holistic reproductive health practitioner and a fertility awareness educator, certified in a specific method.
The Justice.
The Justice method of fertility awareness, as
Look
in
at this.
justice.
I actually know your bio.
You
Look at
do.
me.
We've known each other for a few years now. Yeah, I talk about vaginas a lot.
I love it. So before we jump into microbiomes, I was just going to share a story about us and how we often beach walk together because we were basically neighbors for years and had no idea. But we would beach walk together and talk about maybe managing clients or talking about approaching all of these things with different women that we were working with.
Hot girl walks,
Yes.
talking about hot girls.
And I was hoping to hot girl walk with you tomorrow, which is part of what we got to talk about. But
totally.
yeah. And so there's just such a huge piece that Western medicine is really forgetting about when it comes to being a female with a vagina. And one of the big components of that is the vaginal microbiome. You and I have had lots of talks about our vaginas and what's going on with them down there because that's just what we do.
It is.
But what is the vaginal microbiome, and is it really that big of a fucking deal?
Yeah, so your vaginal microbiome is something you probably don't think about until something happens, which is probably the same for any of our microbiomes. There's many throughout our bodies. There's microbiomes in our mouth, our gut, and our vagina. Other parts of your body as well, I'm sure, but those are the ones that I'm most familiar with. And they're really, really critical. So if we know the gut microbiome is really important for all kinds of things, from digesting your food to your mood. It has a really big impact on us beyond that. The gut also is important. The gut microbiome in particular is important for hormone metabolism. So there's this thing called the estrobolome, which is where the bacteria or the lactobacilli that specifically break down estrogen. So if your gut microbiome is off, it's going to throw your hormones off as well.
You just blew my fucking mind already.
There's a lot happening in our bodies that impacts everything else. So I think to your point about Western medicine, or if we think about more of what I would probably say a more holistic model of health, is taking into account all these different parts of our body. Because as much as we want it to be, from the chin up and the neck down are not separate. Same thing belt down, your vagina is impacting other things, your gut is impacting other things, your mood, etc. Nothing is not connected. Everything is connected. So people might be more familiar with the gut microbiome because we talk about it more, but the vaginal microbiome is also really important. We have a lot of lactobacilli, or we should. Lactobacilli are their specific strain. A lot of them in our vagina to keep everything nice and pleasant. Let's put it that way. So the lactobacilli, if there's enough of them, they keep all the other bacteria, the pathogenic stuff, the stuff that's going to make you smell bad, feel bad, itchy. They keep that in check. And that can be good, one, for comfort. Two, having a healthy microbiome helps reduce your risk of infection, of STDs. It's also really important for fertility. It's also really important for just having a pleasant experience of your body.
As you were saying this, I just think about when we did my vaginal microbiome
Oh,
test.
mine too.
And shameless plug, Daye.
Daye.
We used Daye kit to test our microbiomes. And I was shocked to see, mine had like yeast in it, but I wasn't experiencing any signs of a yeast infection. And then my lactobacillus was basically like none.
Yeah.
Like damn near none.
Yeah.
And you yelled at me, and I still have not been taking
Okay.
probiotics. But when you're looking at a test result like that, or when you look at somebody whose vaginal microbiome has low lactobacillus, what happens?
Yeah. So there's a really great point that or something you brought up there that I want to touch on, which is that the vaginal microbiome is really diverse. I think all of our microbiomes are, I don't really only know the most about the vagina, but the vaginal microbiome is quite diverse. And it's actually normal for there to be some like anaerobic or like potentially problematic bacteria in there, some yeast to be in there, along with the lactobacilli. But as long as you're not having symptoms, and as long as the lactobacilli are like in a large amount, like they're in there in their robust selves, it's not necessarily a problem. So one of the things, this era, this moment we live in, we can do a lot of testing. We can do all kinds of new testing that we couldn't do before. And so like Daye, which is one of the companies that I work with, and they do a vaginal microbiome screening. They can do PRP screen. Is it PRP? It's a DNA.
PRC.
PRC. Thank you.
PCR. Sorry.
We're going to get there. Daye's tampon test. They do an at-home tampon test. Like you put a tampon in, and that's how you screen your microbiome. It's PCR testing. So we can see what's happening inside the vaginal microbiome in this new way. But some of those things we don't know yet. Like we have this idea that if yeast is present, it's an infection, but that's not necessarily the case. So things can be there, but they're not. If they're not making a problem, they're not a problem.
Yeah. Which makes sense because there's a lot of things happening in there.
Yeah.
And as long as it's not out of balance,
Exactly.
creating a problem, it's not a problem.
Yes, balance is really
Which
important.
is interesting because in like the world of medicine, that's kind of how they feel about mycoplasma. And that mycoplasma really shouldn't be treated unless you're having symptoms. And we shouldn't be searching and treating mycoplasma on its own unless there's symptoms.
Yeah, it's a great point. So like the mycoplasmas, the ureaplasmas, they are other things you might find in your vagina. And if they are present, it's not necessarily a problem unless you are having a problem. So they're kind of anaerobic bacteria. There's a lot of vaginal microbiome screening kits out there. Like Daye isn't the only one. And different kits like look at different things and are testing in different ways. I'm most familiar with Daye's, and they screen for the mycoplasma, so ureaplasma and mycoplasma hominis, I think is the one specifically. So if you see those on a result, it can make you feel like kind of freaked out, like, oh my God, do I have an infection? Is this causing me a problem? If you are having symptoms, yes, we want to do something about it, but ruling out other things first. So like if you have an active yeast infection or bacterial vaginosis, standard care is treat those things first. And then if the ureaplasma is still there, for example, then treat that because it is really highly antibiotic resistant. That's the concern.
Interesting. So
also, I'm not a doctor.
Well, now I'm going to come in with the medical knowledge here. It's interesting because like mycoplasma and ureaplasm were mycoplasma in particular. CDC recognized it as a sexually transmitted infection in 2016. And so it's a new sexually transmitted infection, but most providers have no clue what it is, or at least in my experience, testing it is very challenging. We don't have this information on how do you manage it once you do testing or find a positive, and who should you even be looking in. And so I find this kind of interesting of where we have all of these resources, but then the other half, like our Western medicine component, doesn't have access to the same information.
Yeah. Or like valuing that information or that kind of testing. Because there's a lot of testing that's a little bit not fringy. It's just new. It's new. It's based on really good evidence and testing and like rigorous, testing methods and all of that. But your doctor may not be aware of it. So they might be like, I don't know what this is. So therefore it doesn't count. So depending on where you are in the world, that might impact things as well. But trying to do things that promote overall health of your body will support your vaginal microbiome. If you have an active infection, you should do things to treat that infection. But if you don't have an active infection, then maybe it's more about restoring balance. And even, after treating an infection, restoring balance is important.
Yeah. I love that you brought that up because there's like 5 things I have to say. But the first one is, I remember when I went to our friend Disha for BV treatment.
Yeah.
And she told me no sex for 1 month. And
that's a really long time.
I think, isn't that what she says? 1 month? And then
no,
condoms.
We can't bring, Disha can't catch strays in this conversation.
Well, Disha, I'm sorry. It was a long time. And I was like, there's no way in hell I'm going to be sexless this long. And she was like, well, use condoms because otherwise you kill all of your bacteria. And then if you're treating like BV in particular, you're killing all this bacteria, but then you're reintroducing more bacteria before you've given your body a chance to rebuild its own bacteria.
Yeah.
And I probably didn't listen very well.
You heard like this. Okay, so I did yes, condoms can be useful in this way as well. But there's another piece here, like the partner component. So if you're having sex with someone with semen, and you're getting semen in your vagina, that can really throw things off for a number of reasons. So one has to do with pH, one has to do with like their flora and how that's interacting with yours.
And who else they're interacting with.
Yeah, and who else, whatever collection of things they are bringing to the table. That can impact you. And the other thing I want to throw in there is BV. It's now recommended that both partners be treated. So this is a very new thing. I think this guidance came out last year, but I have no concept of time anymore, so who knows. But it's very recent, and there'd be a lot of women. I've definitely talked to lots of clients who are like, I have recurrent BV. I do the treatment. My partner doesn't do any treatment. My doctor says he doesn't need treatment. And yet I still keep getting BV. And now there's evidence that treating the male partner in a different way, like with a topical on the penis and with an oral, really, really helps. Like it was so, right, the pilot study was so, what's the right word? It was going so well that they're like, wait, we have to stop this and tell people to do this treatment because the people in the group receiving treatment were having way better outcomes than the control group.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I will say it's the, I believe it's clindamycin topical.
Yes.
And the Flagyl oral.
Yes.
So if anybody's listening and your provider isn't sure what to do, feel free to drop them that little hint. They can find it on Up to Date. It's now very well documented. And even if you go search BV treatment, because I always double check my dosing anytime I prescribe, but that is one of the things that it says is, hey, here's an update. Men should be treated. Yeah. In my experience in kind of the Western medicine field, treating the partner is if it's recurrent, but not necessarily the first instance.
And that would make sense because there could be a variety of things that are causing it. And if it becomes recurrent, that is a different scenario.
What are some things other than sex and semen that can throw off the vaginal microbiome?
I mean, so many things. How you're eating, how you're treating your vagina, the clothes you're wearing, the clothes you're not wearing. The many, many things can throw it off. Your hormone levels can throw it off. There is a whole hormonal component.
Well, I just had somebody in my DMs recently because I don't know if you've seen my ads that are circling.
Yes, I've seen it's so
my
funny
husband.
To see them pop.
What the fuck? Okay, but anyway, we'll circle back to this.
My husband, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What husband? I like that you have an imaginary husband.
I have an imaginary husband named Pedro, my plastic blow-up doll, who's in some of the videos too. But
I mean, interesting.
Somebody came into my DM and was like, hey, I haven't had sex in over a year because I keep getting recurrent BV.
Yeah.
What's going on? And I'm like, well, is it related to your cycles at all? And they're like, no, I'm on Nexplanon. And so my initial thought, and I haven't said this yet because this is actively a conversation happening today, but my initial thought was it could be the birth control because we aren't really discussing a lot of the impacts that birth control, hormone management is having on our vaginal microbiome.
So I know there are some stats on this and I do not remember them off the top of my head, but it's possible. I think there was something to do with oral birth control use and yeast infections, if I'm recalling correctly, but I could be wrong. It's possible, because it's possible that her birth control is having an impact on her vaginal microbiome, but it could be other things. I guess it's also a question of like, is she getting tested and is it really BV or is it something else?
Right. Have we had our mycoplasma, ureaplasma at this point?
That would be a question.
Recurrent. Yeah.
Yeah. But so on that point, we need to come back to partners because I have more to say about that.
Okay.
But we can
I got
we
you.
can keep talking about this. So healthy vagina. There's a lot of things I think a lot of us already know. So airing it out. One, like wearing overly tight clothes. I mean, I know I wear a lot of yoga pants because I work from home, but wearing like tight fitting clothes or keeping like on like sweaty or wet tight fitting clothes, those do not allow your vagina to breathe in the way it needs to. And that can really impact your vaginal microbiome. So it just gives more of a wetter, moist environment for yeast to thrive. And so that can trigger things like yeast infections or just like throw off things with your vaginal environment in general. So avoiding that if possible. Some people are triggered by different things, but something to keep in mind. Eating a well-rounded diet is important. If you're eating a diet that's primarily junk food and you're not getting enough fiber or protein or fermented foods, again, going back to the probiotics, that can throw things off.
Not the kimchi.
Eat your kimchi. Kimchi is good for your coochie.
That's your next slogan.
Thank you. I love kimchi. But no, probiotics do help. And there are specific probiotics that support the vagina. Something that came up recently in a class I was in is the good old fashioned putting yogurt up your vagina to treat any kind of like a yeast infection or BV. Now, I understand where we're coming logically. And this is like an old timey treatment. And we only had so many options back in the day. And the idea is like the lactobacilli in the yogurt will support the lactobacilli in the vagina. And I like how we're thinking, but the problem is the lactobacilli in the vagina and in your gut are different. And so the lactobacilli in the yogurt helps your gut, but doesn't help your vagina. They don't live there. So even if you were to like put yogurt directly in your vagina, those lactobacilli, they don't live in that environment.
So when you take oral probiotics, how is that actually with lactobacilli getting into your vaginal canal?
So the theory is those little microbes, those little bacteria, they climb on your little pubes and they travel from butthole to vagina.
No.
That's what I've been told. That's what I've been told. If you don't have pubes, I think
I
they
was just
still
about to say.
travel. I think they look, they're getting there. They will get where they need to go. But I like to envision like a pube ladder personally. That's exciting for me as someone who's like a big supporter of Big Bush. But they do, that's a thought. They travel, like the vagina and the anus are very close together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've heard.
Interesting.
There might be another pathway. Someone please correct me out there. But that is what I've been told.
Huh.
Yeah.
So,
but they do studies, right, where they look at the oral vaginal probiotic and seeing if that does anything to change the vagina itself. And it does work. So I would make sure that the probiotic that you're taking does have specific strains that support vaginal health. And there are specific strains that do that. There are some microbiome kits too that will break down more specifically what kind of lactobacilli you have in your vagina. I always tend to get the names confused, but I think Lactobacilli innaris is common, but like a weaker lactobacilli. And like the stronger, or maybe not stronger, but like lactobacilli that are better associated or that are more associated with a more favorable vaginal environment are crispatus and reuteri. I'm not saying these names correctly. If I saw them in front of me, I'd probably say them incorrectly still, but you can Google this. But there are specific things. So taking, again, all microbiomes influence each other. So supporting your gut microbiome supports your estrogen, supports your whole overall body functioning, which also supports your vagina because the little lactobacilli in your vagina need to eat a byproduct that's made because of estrogen. So estrogen also helps to feed, through this little pathway, helps to feed your lactobacilli. So if you have lower estrogen levels, that can also throw off your vaginal microbiome. And so that's why women in perimenopause and menopause in particular, when our estrogen is super low naturally, start to have weird vagina problems happen that they never had before.
Tons of UTIs that are not UTIs.
Oh yeah, that's a whole other kettle of fish we could get into. The UTIs, but vaginal dryness, I think we know is like associated with lower levels of estrogen, but also like an increase in BV and yeast infections can happen too. Yeah.
That's so fascinating.
Yeah.
When it comes to like probiotics, so we talked about like oral probiotics
Yeah.
in the lactobacilli, and we can talk about different brands because I know both of us use and try different
stuff.
brands.
Yeah.
But what about like the vaginal, like the actual vaginal probiotics rather than the oral?
Yeah, so those exist as well. I think there's a brand called Vagibiome. Just mentioning it, I don't have any relationship with them, but they do have a suppository you can use. Mixed results. You could certainly try it. I don't think there's anything like what I wouldn't do is like if there isn't a problem, I wouldn't create a problem, but you could try it as a way to try and restore or like colonize the vagina. Some people have success with doing like probiotics are inserted vaginally. You could even put, I mean, look, it's your vagina. I'm not telling you what to do. This is not medical advice, but you could put a probiotic capsule in your vagina and see what happens. I am kind of from the school of let's see what happens.
Oh my goodness. I am
But it's not medical advice. Do what you want with your
Thank
vagina.
goodness
Don't listen to me.
This podcast starts out with, this is not medical advice.
Great.
Talk to a professional. I'm just kidding. But I mean, it really is there. Love Wellness also has a vaginal probiotic too.
Yeah, there's a few. There's like definitely a lot of
Yeah.
brands that do it. I think Vitanica has some. Like they're out there. I think they can be helpful. I think it might be worth exploring. But I've
The
seen
one
mixed
time
results.
I did it, I felt like it gave me more issues.
Yeah, I didn't. When I tried it myself too, I was like, I didn't find it to be specifically helpful either. But results may vary.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also am in the school of thought of just try it and see what happens with a lot of different things.
Yeah.
That's also why the supplement industry makes tons of money, right?
That's the thing. I think like if you're having vaginal problem, like let's say like you have recurrent BV, I think first like let's do a check of like what's going on. Like could there be a trigger? And do you notice a trigger? So is it after sex? Is it after exercising? Is it at a specific point in your cycle? Is it like can you find any kind of trigger associated with it? And then maybe try to work back from there. Of course, if it's like any of those triggers I mentioned are things you're going to run into throughout your life. So it's not like you can stop having sex forever, although some people do make that choice or are forced into it, whether or not that's really a choice. But you can't, if you're someone who's sexually active, like that's not going to be something you want to do. But figuring out if there's a trigger and then seeing what you can do to mitigate that trigger or adjust other things. So like in theory, your vaginal microbiome should be able to recover. It is really dynamic and you can heal. Your microbiome can heal, your body can heal. And I think that's important, especially when it comes to vaginas, is to say like, it's not broken. It's not going to stay this way. You can do things to support it, but we need to figure out what's causing that. And then maybe your vagina just needs more support. So if it is triggered by sex, maybe you need to be treated like with some kind of antifungal, antibiotic, your partner. Then maybe it's about restoring those lactobacilli. So that can be probiotics. That can be eating a more well-rounded diet. That can be like not wearing underwear to bed or just wearing looser fitting clothing. A lot of those things can make a difference and can be really helpful. Like herbal support, if you work with an herbalist, like there's definitely herbal remedies. So lots of ways to address it, but I think it's important to figure out what might be causing it first because all those things can impact it.
Yeah. When it comes to like recurrent BV, boric acid is one of those other things that's kind of like out in the market. What are your thoughts about boric acid? Have you used it personally?
Yeah, I find boric acid personally to be helpful. So I'm someone, when we can talk about our results, my lactobacilli were shockingly low when I tested. And I was
were
like,
they as bad as mine?
They were really low. They were like scary low. I was like, how am I not walking around with an infection constantly? But maybe I was. It wasn't noticeable, but it was shockingly low, and I still have to retest. I'm very bad. I am waiting on some results right now. But with that, I wasn't having active symptoms. But what I did notice is that at specific points, in certain points of my cycle, I would start to have symptoms. So like the end of my period.
Yes.
And that's really common. So we're talking about the vagina, talking about pH. Everyone loves to talk about pH. They love to slap it on a label. They love to send you an ad that says, oh my God, this is going to rebalance your pH. And my gripe always is your vaginal pH naturally changes throughout your cycle. So what pH are we talking about? And I think the pH we're talking about is the pH for the majority of your cycle, but it does shift and it's naturally supposed to shift. But if things are a little bit off, that shift can trigger symptoms.
So what are these shifts?
Yes. Okay. So the vagina, normally very acidic. And so normally is like the majority of your cycle, and technically like the phases of your cycle where you're not bleeding and you're not near ovulation. The vagina is really acidic. It's like the same acidity, sort of like a glass of wine. Like it's similar to that. Sperm hate an acidic environment. They die really quickly. So that's part of the vagina's mechanism, is like, we will only take sperm in on certain days at certain times. Otherwise, that's it. You have nowhere to go. You're dead. It's also not good for pathogens. And it's also like a byproduct of like the lactic acid that the lactobacilli are creating. So it's a protective mechanism to keep the vagina safe and healthy. During menstruation, menstrual or blood is more alkaline, so it makes the vagina more neutral in pH. So that can shift things. So if your lactobacilli are already like struggling a bit and your pH shifts to be more alkaline, that encourages the growth of the bad bacteria. Around ovulation, when you're making cervical mucus, the point of cervical mucus is to keep sperm alive. That's its whole job. And so it shifts the pH of the vagina to be the same as semen, so the same alkalinity as semen. So you go from acidic to alkaline, and that can cause problems for people sometimes. Maybe not during those specific days, but possibly, but at that transition. So from like alkaline back to more acidic. Also, like for our girls who are not you, but
Probably for me.
Those people, no, you're not gonna like. For people who are trying to get pregnant.
Oh,
not you.
Yeah, not me.
People who are trying to get pregnant, that can also present an issue where like you're having a lot of sex, a lot of unprotected sex all of a sudden, maybe, or a lot of unprotected sex at a phase of your cycle where things are normally alkaline, and then you've been inundated with someone else's bacteria and flora and fauna, etc., and that can trigger like BV and things like that. So it's not supposed to happen. Or another way to think about it is your vagina is supposed to bounce back. So if you notice like, okay, initially you have like a little bit of itchiness and then it goes away, that might just be a natural functioning of your microbiome of like, oh, we were invaded, things got all swept around, but we recovered. Versus like there was an event and things are wiped out and now you have like a raging infection for days. That would be more of an indicator of like, okay, yeah, something is really off here. But if it's just like momentary of like, I feel a little strange and now I feel fine, that might just be more of a reflection of your microbiome doing its job.
Huh. I never realized like the variation in the pH.
Yeah.
Because everybody just says, oh, it's acidic. It's acidic.
Yeah.
But that makes so much sense. And I think that's why, like, for a lot of people, menstrual cycle and ovulation do tend to be common triggers for symptoms.
Yeah.
I always pop a boric acid after my cycle.
Yeah, I've done that too. I find so boric acid is a standardized treatment too for BV. I think also for yeast.
It can be as like not a first line.
Yeah. So there is a treatment protocol for using it. Don't use it if you're pregnant. Not good during like the contraindicated for pregnancy. Pregnancy also can sometimes trigger a lot of like weird vagina things.
But that's hormone stuff, right?
That is, but it's all, there's a world in which it's all hormone stuff. But yes, it can, but don't use boric acid if you're pregnant. I've had some people have some side effects like spotting or cramping.
I generally spot after I use it.
Yeah. So
why is that? That's so strange.
Irritation? I'm not really sure, to be honest with you.
It probably is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So here's my question. You might have the answer to this. Oh boy, get ready. So if you pop a boric acid, and when I say pop, this only goes vaginally. It does not, do not put it in your mouth. It will burn a hole in your stomach.
Yeah, that's bad.
Literally horrible.
No.
You put a suppository vaginally. How long until somebody can go down on you safely?
That's such a good question. I think I've had this. I have definitely had to consider this before myself.
I know. These are things I need to know.
Ooh, we should call poison control right now.
Oh my God. I have poison. I literally have poison control on speed dial.
I mean, I don't want to take up their time with someone who's like actually dying.
We should totally do this.
But poison control would know.
Oh my God.
I mean, they might know the answer. I feel like I've heard that poison control knows all kinds of things.
Let me see if I can get an answer in 10 minutes.
All right.
We'll keep going.
All right. So it's a good thing to be aware of. Like if you have boric acid in your vagina, you should not be consuming boric acid. So it's probably not good to let a partner go down on you. How soon after? I mean, probably, I'm going to say like at least 24 hours.
That was my theory, at least 24. I think I was pushing 36 this week, but he survived. It's a living every day.
It's dangerous out here. I mean, I think it also depends on the dose, of course, right? Like, yeah. But just, for you at home using boric acid, take your partner's,
Consider them.
Consider
Do
them.
not pop a boric acid and then let them
No.
go down on you.
No, don't do that. That would be
Yeah.
not very nice. No.
Yeah.
Also, like, maybe like give it's so with the whole like thing about like should you not have sex when you have an active infection, depends on what it is. But there's also like I think with yeast infections it actually isn't contraindicated, like you're not supposed to have sex, it just might not be very comfortable.
The irritation, yeah.
Yeah.
I find that like sex when I have like BV or like those like BV symptoms,
Yeah.
that it actually gets a little bit better
I wonder
after
if
sex,
interesting.
which is so strange. I don't know if it's just like the flushing shit out
Maybe,
or
like the flow, the fluids, etc.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, but this is where using condoms can be helpful. So going back to the partners real quick. So condoms are I am a big fan of condoms. Always will be. And this is one area where they can be useful. Like if someone is having an active outbreak, or not outbreak, maybe isn't the right word to say it, but if you have BV and you're taking medication and you still want to have sex with your partner, use a condom. Or if you're concerned about like their bacteria interacting with yours because maybe it's gone poorly in the past, use a condom. It can protect you from STDs. It can also protect you from their other bacteria, and like semen can really throw things off. So again, during your fertile window, the vagina is the same pH as the semen. So like you're not throwing off your vaginal pH in that same way because your pH has shifted to be the same as semen, generally speaking, or that's what should be happening. But if you're having unprotected sex at other points of your cycle, so let's say you use a fertility awareness method, you are having sex on infertile days, you're having unprotected sex, and it gives you a BV. That could be because we're meeting two different pHs together, and it's not particularly great for your vagina. So keep that in mind. Your partner does play a role here. There is with the ureaplasma, with mycoplasmas, even with BV, there is a sort of argument you could be made that they can be sexually transmitted. It's not the same thing as like chlamydia.
They're more like sexually facilitated. Whatever the fuck that means.
Because like, look, everyone has their own little microbiome and it's interacting with your microbiome. And sometimes those things don't interact well. But you could also, over time, adjust to your partner's microbiome. Like through just, the trading routes, or, they're getting used to each other. They have better relationships over time.
So this actually brings up a really good question or point too. Why is it that oftentimes when you sleep with somebody who is not good for you in many ways, you get some sort of BV, yeasty type thing afterwards?
I don't know. Listen to your vagina.
I know, she's so smart.
It's a good filtering tool. I've heard, look, there's all these things that there's a real like unseen element to all of our lives in my in the metaphysical side. And sometimes your body is giving you a message. There's no scientific basis for what we're saying, but I've heard it. You've experienced it. We've all, yeah. It's like I've heard cases of women who just have like recurrent BV forever. And then they finally left their shitty partner and ta-da, their vagina's fine.
Yeah.
With other people too. It's not just like on its own. So I don't know.
Ex's other girlfriend, same thing.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Weird.
We have no problems now that we got rid of him.
Energetically bad semen.
Ooh.
I don't know. I mean, it's not to say, it's just something to consider. Just perhaps to consider. If your body is having these reactions, and perhaps you reflect on your relationship and you say, maybe there is something not great here. Maybe it's a sign. Maybe not. I don't know. But something to consider.
Think about it.
Think about it.
So we could literally like talk about so many different things. I need to have you back to talk more about menstrual cycles, because that's like my favorite thing to talk about.
And that's how there's an existing podcast with us talking about menstrual cycles somewhere, right?
There is. Oh, you know what I was gonna mention is that if somebody's like listening and they're not familiar with like mycoplasma, ureaplasma, think it's like episode 50s-ish. There's a whole section on STIs. And so if you're like, what the fuck? I've never heard of this before. It's titled The New Kids on the Block.
So fun.
That was back when I named my own shit.
Oh, that's cute.
Now I got my mom to do it all for me.
Your mom does it for you?
Yeah, my mom works for me.
Oh my God.
Poison Control just got back to me.
What did they say?
He said, they're pretty non-toxic. Think you're good to go. Worst comes to worst, they'll get blue/green vomit and a little rash, but that's more from chronic toxicity.
What? Worst
Thanks, Poison Control.
Don't worry, you'll have a little bit of light blue vomit following this encounter.
And a little rash, but there's more. That's from chronic toxicity.
So like immediate, what are they saying? Like wait 24 hours?
My question to Poison Control was, do you know how long after you take a vaginal boric acid someone should wait to be eaten out?
I love that you have this relationship with Poison Control.
I know, it's my best friend's husband.
Great. So I would still say
be considerate.
Be considerate. Let's not do blue or green vomiting. Still not most people
ideal.
Don't want that experience.
Might ruin a mood.
Yeah, let's avoid it. But yeah, you're not going to kill them. So that's great. If you forget.
Which forgetting is a legit thing.
Yes.
Do you know last week, well, you wouldn't know this because I haven't seen you in a while, but I was on my period.
Yeah.
And I forgot I had a disc in. And I woke up the next morning, and you're only supposed to leave them in like 12 hours.
Yeah.
I woke up the next morning, I'm like, wow, that wasn't that messy overnight. And I was like, oh my God.
No.
I was so tired last night. I forgot to take it out. My coworkers were like, oh my God, what'd you do? And I was like, I took it out and put a new one in.
Yeah. Well, those are like there's less of a concern for like toxic shock with a disc
very low
versus
risk.
a tampon. But yeah, you can forget things. So don't freak out. You haven't poisoned your partner, I guess is what we're deciding. But also if you're putting in the boric acid because things feel a little bit off, maybe you should like.
I put it in when I'm planning to go have some adventures to make sure she's a little bit fresher.
All right.
Just
just give them a heads up that they might get some light blue or green vomiting, and it's not you, it's your boric acid.
I can't wait to tell him about this. I'm gonna have to send him this episode and be like, "Look what you did." New Jersey Poison Control. Thank you.
I love it. Thank you for your service.
Well, this is always fun to chat with you. I love talking with you. So before we wrap up the podcast, 2 questions. Question 1, what is something you are currently interested in exploring sexually?
This is such a personal question, Jordan.
No, you know what? This is a sex podcast.
Okay, a sex podcast. I'm a very boring sex lady these days. Well, as I get into my late 30s, although maybe I'm going to start telling people I'm my early 40s. I'm trying to debate like that as my age. So putting this on a podcast is probably not great. But having more sex, I'm having sex, but I would like to be having more sex. And that's really kind of where I'm at right now.
According to my entire family, my mom and my aunt, my entire family.
Yeah, that sounds like
I think even grandma though, has gotten in on this conversation. My mom can clarify for us, but your 40s is the best sex of your life.
Really?
That is what I have heard. You want it all the time, more, and because of a lot more fibroids, you have a lot more bloody sex.
Oh,
but
well, that's exciting. Look, I don't mind a little bit of blood.
Yeah, whatever.
Don't care. But life is really busy, and you get to a certain age and you're like, I got shit to do. So I'd like to be having more sex, Jordan.
Amen.
That's what I would like to be having.
Amen. Cheers to that. How do you define pleasure?
How do I define pleasure? I don't know if I've ever come up with a definition for pleasure. So let's do it now. Something that gives you joy, that makes you feel happy, that doesn't necessarily have a productive outcome. So just like pleasure is something you do for pleasure's sake. It makes you happy. It makes you feel good. And it doesn't necessarily mean like for example, someone might find exercising pleasurable. Great. If you're exercising for just pleasure versus like exercising because you want to be fit, I feel like those are different things.
So different.
Not bad. Neither is bad. but different. So like taking a leisurely walk to like have a hot girl, hot girl walk with friend also helps with exercise, but it's more, I don't really care about the exercise. It's like we're just spending time together. Or eating chocolate. Like, yes, it contains calories, which can sustain you, but that's not the reason we eat chocolate.
Yeah.
It's a terrible example, but that's my definition.
Where can the listeners find you at?
Okay, so you can find me sometimes on Instagram. Not always there, but I do exist there permanently. So it's the Cuntsultant, but cunt is spelled with a V. So it looks like the Cuntsultant because you can't put cunt apparently in your Instagram handle. You can also find me if you need to reach me at my website, the Cunt, Cuntsultant, thecuntsultant.com.
Beautiful. I love it. Well, thank you for chatting with me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Yes.
I'm so excited to see your face in person.
I know.
This podcast is sponsored by Splash Blanket, a luxurious waterproof blanket for every messy moment, as well as ProDX, your go-to at-home STI testing company, and Fex, your prescription non-hormonal vaginal birth control gel.
Thank you for joining today and continuing to bring awareness to women's health. If you love the show, please subscribe so you never miss another episode, and leave a review for others to see. If you want to see me on the daily, you can check out my bio for links to all my pages. Be sure to share this episode with your girlfriends. Thanks again, and see you next episode.